Hello, my name is Forage and I'm the botanical pharmacist, and today I'm going to do a short video on how to make elderflower cordial. So I have got some elderflowers there that I picked earlier. There are about 30 heads there, and I picked it from a local park which I know is not sprayed. So it's not sprayed, and it's also not near a road, and I know it's not near dog cocking distance, so it's pretty clean. I've given it all a wash. In fact, I've left it overnight out on a tray so to allow the little bugs to fly off. And yeah, so giving it a quick wash under the tap, and it's ready to be made into cordial. So 30 heads, there you are. You put it in a pan, then you add some oranges and lemons, which I've sliced. So 3 lemons and 2 oranges. You don't have to add the oranges, but I add it because I just find it's quite a nice flavour, and it's a recipe that I've been using for a while. So I add it on top of the elderflowers there, and in the meantime I have boiled some water and I've poured it. So I've made 3 pints of water, added it to 900 grams of caster sugar, give it a good stir so it's all melted, and I've left it in the other side of the garden to cool down. Once it's cold, I will then pour it on top of this. In fact, actually, before I pour it on, once it's cold, I am going to add some citric acid. So it's a powder, and it helps preserve it, and it helps keep it for longer. So you could normally keep it for about a month. You can also decant it into smaller bottles and freeze it, but the citric acid just gives it a bit more longevity. And I find also, because it's citrus flavoured, it adds to the flavour of the cordial. You can buy this from your local pharmacy. You might get asked a few questions because it tends to be used by drug addicts to cook up their heroin. So I've had issues buying it. I don't know why. So I've had to say, actually, I'm a pharmacist, flash my card, and they've been alright about it. But you know, that's just something to bear in mind. And you know, professionally, they've got to, you know, make sure that is addressed. You can also buy it from herbal suppliers. So actually, I now buy it in bulk. I've got a kilo of it, so it lasts me quite a long time to make other cordials as well. So that's how you make it, and what you then do is leave it to soak for 24 hours, just so that all the flavours from the flowers and from the lemons and oranges soaks through into the sugary water. And then I get a colander or a sieve, put a layer of muslin, and pour this in it. So it soaks through, it comes through, and then I give the bag a good squeeze because I like to get some of the oranges and lemons in there as well. And then it's ready to decant into bottles. So I use this, but to be honest, you can use any bottles, any glass bottles ideally, so wine bottles with screw tops, or other cordial bottles, but you need to sterilise them. So I put it in the dishwasher at the top temperature, so that will kill any bugs. Sometimes if I'm in a hurry, I add hot water, so boiling water in there, fill it to the top, and just leave it there for 20 minutes or so, and then I pour it out so it's sterilised. It's really just to stop any bacteria that end up growing in the cordial and spoiling it. So just a bit about the elderflowers. So you'll find May is the peak season for them, and in fact there's an old saying that summer doesn't start until the flowers are in full bloom and ends when the berries are formed. So you know, I suppose May is the start of the summer, so it's quite appropriate. And you need to make sure you're picking the right things, as with all foraging. So elderflowers, the flowers tend to be horizontal, and they actually grow in a lot of places, in hedgerows and things like that. As I said, in parks, they're seen almost as weeds. You know, they don't see them as anything ornamental or whatever. So I know in my park they've been cutting them back, but this year there's been a few trees that have been glorious actually, and loads of flower heads. So I've picked my 30, plenty there left for anyone else, plenty left for other animals or other insects and so on. And then also the other reason it's important to make sure you don't completely use up all the flowers from the tree is come autumn or late summer, these flowers turn into berries. So you've got elderberries, and again you can make elderberry tonic, you can make elderberry syrup, and elderberry syrup is, the elderberries are a purple black, so they are full of plant pigments which are good for antioxidants and flavonoids. They've got vitamin A and vitamin C. They've also got some antiviral properties, so they are really good for boosting or maintaining or supporting your immune system, keeping it healthy and functioning properly. And also, as I said, it's got antiviral properties, so great for all the winter ailments, colds, flu, what have you. So make sure that you do keep some for the autumn so you can make elderberries. As well as cordial, the flowers can be used for a tea. I use it for hay fever, so it's again got properties in there that help with any catarrh. They help dry up any catarrh. They also have anti-allergy properties, so again, if you've got hay fever or any other allergies, really good for that. The leaves, so I said I use that in a tea. I use it also with nettles. Again, that's got anti-allergy properties, so really good combination. The leaves, so you don't use this for the cordial, but I use the leaves to make a mussel balm. So a bit like arnica, which you might buy from the pharmacy. The arnica obviously is not as sustainable as picking some that's local to you and making your own. So with that, I tend to pick the leaves before the flowers have come out, so before you've got any of the buds, because that's when you've got most of the constituents that are useful for making for the mussel rub. So it's for muscle ache, for bruising. So I do that. I take a handful of leaves, I put it in sunflower oil in a bain-marie, so a bowl over water, boiling water, and I leave it in there for about 3 hours. Then I will decant it and then put the oil back, so the infusion, and put some beeswax in there, and then that hardens it and turns it into a balm. If you want something even quicker and easier to make, is use coconut oil, because that's solid at room temperature. So again, the same thing, put the leaves in coconut oil, so melt the coconut oil over a bain-marie, leave it to infuse for 3 hours, take it off, pour it into little pots or jars, and leave it to sit. So that's elderflower. And as I said, whenever you're foraging, make sure you know what you're foraging for. So I advise you to go and get a book, or just look it on the internet, just to make sure that it's the right white flower. There's a lot of white flowers this time of year. For me, the thing that's really distinctive is the smell. It's quite heady. I like it. It's quite floral. But again, with all of foraging, it's about practice and getting used to you looking at a few herbs that you can identify, and then growing that portfolio of knowledge as you go along. So just to show you one that I made earlier, so this is the Elderflower Cordial that I made earlier in the week, actually 2 weeks ago I made, but we're getting through it quite quickly. I have it with a bit of sparkling water, so it's a great non-alcoholic drink, great alternative, but you can have it with still water, or you can add a bit to your gin and tonic as well to give it that extra flavour. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I would love to see your examples and what great treats that you've made for yourself with it. Bye.